Hello, folks. My name's Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing, the official after show for Stupid O'Clock. We are part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. I'm going to flash up the schedule card here for just a few seconds. You can do a screenshot of this and look over everything that we've got on offer here. This changes from minute to minute some days, and I'm always having to re-up it and re-edit it, and it's there's something here for everybody every day or every night of the week for all kinds of different interests. So check it out. If you see something you like, go ahead and check that show out, and you might be led into some of the other shows just by some of the people that are either watching or in the program. We all kind of drift around, and for this particular live commercial, it's about time I shut up and get back to bringing folks in. So without any further ado, let's add Bill and Chris and Josh and Will. From rocket launches to Catwoman, we had a pretty spectacular last standing.
I can kind of top it all off. I just became friends with comic artist legend Ramona Fradon, which, if you don't know who she is very famous for her work illustrating Aquaman, Brenda Starr, and she Super Friends. I can go on, but she was also co-created the superhero Metamorpho, and she started all the way back in 1950. So, and she just someone I greatly admired, and now I just saw that she accepted a friend request that I did quite a while back.
Hey, well, she's probably been busy.
I'm sure she's very busy. Yes.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. It's always nice when somebody you admire that much adds you to their circle of Facebook friends.
Yeah, makes the world that much smaller.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's like when Alex Ross replied to one of my posts on Facebook, and I'm like, Jesus, you read your own stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah. I thought it was some publicist, but it turned out to be him that day.
Yeah. Well, that's the same way with Bill Sienkiewicz. I became friends with him on there. I just thought it was a tribute page or something, that somebody else did. But that was him, because I've seen some of the rhetoric he was using on a few things, and I'm like, yeah, that's Bill. That's not a somebody just running his page.
Yeah, Bill Nelson of Bebop Deluxe and Red Noise, and he actually that's his personal Facebook, and he responds to just about everybody that comments on things, and I've had some great conversations with him. It's like I'm used to being able to post on some writer's Facebook page that I've met or at least own a few books by, and they know who I am vaguely, and carry on conversations there. But somebody like Bill, I was absolutely blown away that he's actually doing that himself. And I wonder how many times I can slip in the word "actually" without getting banned from YouTube. Hey, if I was writing a story, I'd have to edit out about 4 of those every sentence. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, did you get any more of your book, more words written this week?
Not this week, not yet. I've got to sit down and write my editorial for Aphelion here before Sunday, because we go live the first Sunday night of every month, and then Saturday I've got Larry Niven IRC chat, which is a group of Larry Niven fans on the old Textile chat networks, and Larry will pop in if he's not doing a convention or not busy writing or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been actually there it goes again. I've been having conversations with a large number of people, and Larry Niven, Jerry Purnell, Ed Lerner sometimes pop in during these chats, and the Niven chat group, or it's Niven mailing list group actually. We have the monthly IRC chats, but there's a mailing list that comes out sometimes several times a day, sometimes once a week, depending on how much email traffic there is. But they have in the past prompted Larry to come up with a new idea to write a new book, and we're just going, we're not. Yeah, we are. It's just fun. It's just
How
fun.
cool is that, though?
Hey, yeah. I mentioned Larry and Jerry and the book Lucifer's Hammer in my first online novel, the first novel I ever finished. It's never been published in paper or anything, but it's online. And I actually went and asked permission from Larry and Jerry to reference them and mention them in the story, and Larry did not seem to have a problem with it, and never heard anything from Jerry, but if Larry okayed it, then Jerry was pretty much okay with it too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's a fun thing. Y'all ought to look up Fly-by-Wire sometime on Aphelion. It's in the archives section. It's really fun. That was back when e-zines were going from blank gray pages to color background, and we were one of the first folks to start using illustrations as well as odd fonts and font colors and things like that. I was very proud of that. I pushed the envelope on that one for the day it was done, but it wouldn't be all that it wouldn't be all that awesome nowadays because people are used to that sort of thing. But
yeah, but back then,
yeah, it was one of those instances where people would toss in maybe one, maybe two photographs and a whole big web page of stuff, and I kind of went hog wild. And other people that were writing in the same series, because this was a shared universe thing, they go, "You see what he did? I'm going to do that," and they figured out how to do it too, or they, a couple of them might have even asked me how to do it, but it's very, very simple if you are used to writing in HTML web page markup language. So for a while, I could write easier in a web page than I could on a word processor. It made more sense because I was always doing these web pages.
yeah.
So
By the way, Ace.
Oh, hey, Ace. Sorry, I was busy running my mouth. Didn't see you there. Thank you for showing up. It's very nice to have you.
Well, Dan, how hard is it to, can you explain the process of publishing a book, or just the short end of it?
Okay.
Self-publishing?
At the moment, you've got three different ways to go, and they all three work It just depends on what the market is looking for. All right. Self-publishing is the easiest to actually get something out there, but it's the hardest because you have to either do all the editing and proofreading and everything yourself, or you've got to hire somebody. And then you've either got to do your own cover art, or you've got to hire somebody and pay for it, or use one of the platforms that give you free, basically, public domain art for covers and things. And you've got to do the graphics, or you got to hire somebody to do the graphics. That is the least costly monetarily, but it's the one that you put the most work into because you've got to do almost 98% of it yourself. Now, then, small press publishing is where somebody has come along, they've got their own publishing house. It's not huge, it's not well known, but they do have an audience that is established for the kind of stuff that they want to publish. And you can submit to them, and they will have something like a Google Documents that your story will go up in, and other writers for the same company will come in, and they will not critique, but they'll do like not an edit, but yes, a critique. They'll tell you, I didn't understand this bit. Maybe you could explain this sentence a little bit more. This scene didn't quite work for me. I'm not sure exactly how that was supposed to go. Maybe you could foreshadow it a little bit earlier so that we could jump right into it, or maybe you need to explain it a little bit further in a later chapter, that sort of thing. And you go through and you have all these suggestions about how to revise things.
Revise it.
Yep, and you either accept it or reject it, and depending on how many that you accept, and if you're one of those people that go, oh no, my words are written on stone, no one can edit me, well, your future's not going to be very long. You'll have to go back to self-publishing because nobody's going to want to work with you. If you're willing to work with an editor, and that is one of the smartest things any writer can do, is find somebody that is a really good editor and work with them, take their suggestions, learn what it is that you're not seeing as you're writing, that you need your readers to see. Where you've got to explain more, where you've explained too much, that sort of thing. And then that publisher will probably go to one of those places that do the public domain artwork and whatnot, and pick you out a cover, and they'll have somebody in-house that does the graphics to go on the cover and stuff like that. You probably will get to pick between 2 or 3 different examples, and which one you think works the best. There are other small press publishers that have a little bit bigger budget that you can actually ask for a specific cover artist and communicate with them once they've been hired to do or commissioned to do your cover, and tell them, this is what this is about. This is kind of what I'd like to see. If that makes any sense to you, just go to town and I'll tell you. And hey, I've done both. Where it's my first book was a little bit larger, small press, and I actually asked for a specific artist, and they said, "Yeah, we know him. Yeah, he does his wife's book covers. We love his work. We'll see what he's willing to settle for a quick and dirty cover for you," and got a really great cover out of it. And matter of fact, I even got another one that could be used for the sequel if I ever finish writing more stories for that, because it was a short story collection. All right, and then you've got the big leagues, where you've got the actual big name publishers.
Yeah.
And if you follow all of their rules, read their submission guidelines very carefully, do everything they tell you, that's what they want in the formatting and everything else. Do your best proofreading on your own, do your best editing on your own, and you're lucky enough to get accepted by one of these, then they'll hire a cover artist, they'll hire the designers, they'll, all this stuff that you were doing on your own, they'll be doing. But nowadays, unless you're with some really, really high tier big league pro publisher, then you're still going to have to do an awful lot of the marketing yourself, because that's one of the things that's come down nowadays, is that just about everybody is pitching in to do their own marketing, or part of their own marketing, or most of their own marketing, or at least a significant amount of their own marketing. Because with the collapse of 50 to maybe 6 big name publishers, they've cut corners a lot. They no longer offer all these perks that they used to back in the good old days, which was probably the 50s, 60s, 70s, that sort of thing. It's kind of gotten smaller and smaller and smaller since then, because they've combined, or some of the old guys have gone away. But the big thing is, the takeaway from all of this, first, you sit down, you write the best story you can.
Yeah.
And you go over it until you're just absolutely tired of reading the same words over and over again. You try and edit it. You try and proofread it the best you can, and proofreading is one of the hardest parts. Yeah. Editing takes, everybody needs an editor outside of themselves, because once you've gotten that far, your eyes are going to skip over stuff.
Yeah,
that if you were reading somebody else's, you'd know that needed to be rewritten. But since it's yours, your brain knows what you meant, and it puts it in there where you typed something that wasn't what you meant. So somebody outside your head being an editor is the best thing you could possibly have, because they'll tell you, wait a minute, I didn't understand that. It seemed like you cut out an entire paragraph, or there's a half a sentence missing here, or, oh, you really got long-winded in this one. You should chop that up into about 8 different sentences instead of that one long run-on paragraph sentence that you got. And if you put in the work and you pay attention to the submission guidelines, and you're willing to work with an editor, then you've got a shot. If you are actually writing a story that people will want to read, and by the time you get done with the first one, you'll know whether or not anybody wants to read it. Yeah. But then again, you're going to write 15 or 20 things before you actually find the voice that works for you. The way to put things into words that works for you, where your readers are going to be, you're going to get their attention straight away. And it's just going to be, oh, that's a very good opening paragraph. One of the best things you can practice is something they call narrative hooks. The first sentence. If you can make the first sentence something that goes, oh, all right, what happens next? You got it. You got it.
If you can make that first paragraph something that catches somebody's eye and interest, most places are at least going to give it a serious consideration in terms of publisher, small or big.
Yep.
But if it takes you forever to get to the point to draw their interest, most of them, if you haven't got their interest by the first page,
Yep.
they're probably going to say thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, if it takes you 40 pages to get to the point, you better learn. You need to start the book on page 41.
Yeah.
And virtually every author that I've heard that question put to has said, write it down or type it down or whatever, because until you have a story, there is no point in trying to find somebody to publish it. And there's lots of them that their first efforts weren't good enough to get anything, but it taught them skills and how to write and get better at it. And eventually, at some point, some of them were able to go back to that first work, revise it, re-edit it, and rework it to where it was something worth publishing, and it did quite well for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris, I'll give you a good example of that. The author of To Kill a Mockingbird,
Harper Lee.
Harper Lee, the story that she started with would be the second and her last novel, To Catch a Watchman.
Mm-hmm.
And she presented that story.
I hate it, Bill, but you stalled out there because you were going really good.
I think your internet connection kind of pooped out on you.
Maybe
Bill,
your
are you?
storm cloud going through?
I got it.
Are you?
I had a little glitch. But Harper Lee presented. Yeah, Harper Lee presented what would be known as To Catch a Watchman, that came out in 2016. The original story to the editors, and the editors said, "We kind of like these characters and everything, but let's do them younger and bring me that story, which would be To Kill a Mockingbird." And so, which that one just blew everybody out of the water. She totally discarded the second book, which was originally the first book, and we almost never saw it. And I do have a copy of it, and I read it right when To Catch a Watchman came out, and it's wonderful because I did read To Kill the Mockingbird first. I think if it was reversed, I would have lost interest probably about 20 pages in.
Well, also the movie version of To Kill a Mockingbird was almost perfectly cast because you had Gregory Peck as Scout's father, and the one that played her did an absolutely amazing job. And like I said, the casting of the whole movie was really exceptional.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even though it's black and white, it's still damn good.
Ray Bradbury used to give people advice. People like, well, let's not name drop. He said most famously, begin your story as close to the end as you possibly can. You know, skip all the lead up. Drop into something that will bring the reader in and lead them logically step by step to the conclusion. And another writer who's doing rather well these days, she's rather young, but she's doing really well, got a few awards under her belt, says, don't be afraid to kill your darlings. All those beautiful magical sentences that you think are so precious, if it doesn't advance the story any, it's just unnecessary poetry. don't be afraid to cut those out. Save them.
Yeah.
You might be able to stick them in someplace else or in a totally different story.
If you can learn to
I'll be right back.
and be concise, that will definitely do you in good stead, because good pacing and being concise where you're not going on and on and on about something.
Mm-hmm.
That's
one of the crosses I have to bear. That's one of the things I had to learn. Don't be too damn long-winded. And I am very long-winded.
There's certain things that you won't or probably need to go into fairly good detail, but you don't need to do that about everything. You know, I've heard it joked about some, some authors that went on, 3 paragraphs about one character's hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's a bit excessive.
Yep. There is a, depending on what it is that you're actually writing, what style, what genre, what mood it is you're trying to set, you can get away with describing where they're at, the furniture, the drapes, this, that, and the other thing, but you need to spread that out. You've got to have some dialogue in there that advances the story, because your reader is not going to want to sit there and listen to you describe an entire photograph of a stage set.
Yeah.
But I was about to say, setting a background and setting your characters, I mean, spread that out. I mean,
yeah, I like to call it set, setting, and set dressing. So the set, your bare bones, that's the stage your characters are going to walk on. Setting is the background, the world building for that particular story. And set dressing, that's the props that are scattered around the page, the stage that the characters interact with. You've got to spread that stuff out. You can't just info dump everything. Otherwise, nobody's going to finish the first paragraph.
And it also depends on the type of story.
Yeah.
If you're doing fantasy or science fiction, you probably need to describe stuff in more detail. If you're doing like urban fantasy,
or
paranormal
romance,
where you're relying on present day or near present day settings, like if you just mention an area, like for example, you're using New Orleans as your setting. All you got to do is mention certain landmarks. People are going to recognize that stuff. You might throw in a minor detail here or something about it, but most people are going to know, okay, this is Canal Street, or this is Audubon Park, or whatever, because they're going to, some of them are going to know the landmarks, especially in and around that area, like, New Orleans, Southern Mississippi, all that. They're going to know that area because they probably visited at least once or twice.
Yeah. And later on, you could go in more depth into.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As long as it fits with the
story. Yeah.
The trick is how to get the blend to where it's not too much background stuff and too much description, and you've got a good mix of your characters having conversations and your characters having action and things happening, and your characters reacting to those things happening.
And you've got to have a sort of balance between your good and bad characters. You don't need to be your good characters to be so perfect and overpowering that the bad characters are nowhere near as strong or powerful or intelligent or dumb or whatever. You want there to be some competition there where there's, there's some give and take, in terms of which one's got the upper hand and which one doesn't.
If the heroes have it too easy, it's a dull story. And remember, every villain is the hero of their own story.
Yep.
If you can figure out what motivates the bad guy, you can really write a good. And I'm not really good at writing bad guys. That's why I use natural disasters and things so much for my my bad guys. It's not something that has a personality or a plot behind them, and plot as an evil plot, But
and there are some authors that make their antagonists compelling.
Yeah.
And there's actual people that root for the bad guys on occasion.
Oh, some of the bad guys are so good you actually want them to win, even though they're evil.
Yeah,
they're just such entertaining bad guys.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason I asked you that question was me dealing with weather and everything. I thought I'd start writing. I started to think about writing some fiction, nonfiction stuff about weather. I mean,
well, that's a totally different challenge.
Yeah.
No, we're fictioneers here.
Yeah.
Nonfiction can be a whole lot harder because you got folks that are going to fact check you from here to Thursday.
And anything you got people that are into hard science and exacting natures, they will call you to task on it.
Now, Kimberly asked a question here
about
Halloween movies, and I don't have the faintest idea of what Halloween movies she's talking about, whether it's the new horror movies or new movies in general or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to ask her which movies are you talking about exactly.
Okay.
I think we just heard her.
Yeah, she's talking about Halloween movies, I think. Are you talking about Halloween movies, honey? The Halloween? Or are you talking about the Halloween? Huh?
I'll be right back. I got to run to the beer fridge.
Okay.
I'm about to too, but are you talking about any Halloween or all Halloween movies? Any Halloweens? You typed it in. You know the question.
Josh, just put her on camera.
To you, Kimberly.
Baby, are you talking about Halloween movies in general? Okay.
I think they're fun. Some of them are. Some of them are a bit too gory for my taste.
That's kind Kimberly likes.
Well, she would get along well with Skunk because Skunk loves. Skunk loves Halloween bloody gore.
She's a big fan. She's a big fan of like the original Halloween, like John Carpenter Halloween. And
does she know that John Larroquette narrated the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie?
I don't think she does, but the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre that narrated it, the lady,
John Larroquette, aka
John Larroquette
from Night Court.
Yeah, Dan Fielding
from Night Court.
Dan Fielding. Yep.
Would you like to get on here? Would you like to be on here?
All you gotta do is turn that camera a little bit.
She jumped up and run. There she went.
And then you'll hear the pots and pans as they hit Josh's head.
Tell her if she don't want to be seen on camera, you can stop the cam.
You can turn. There she is.
What's she worried about? She's pretty.
Hi, Kimberly. Okay, now you're on camera. Tell us the ones you like the best.
Here, tell them what movies
what?
you like the best.
Okay. Oh
Hey.
Hey, Kimberly.
Hey.
Nice to
yeah.
finally
Okay.
see you.
What is your all-time favorite movie for Halloween?
Halloween.
The first one
Michael
from
Myers.
Yes, the first one. John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. Okay.
Yeah, directed it. Yes. Yeah, that one's kind of cool because Donald Pleasance.
They didn't.
Hello,
The
nurse.
pulling away.
Yeah, that is the lovely Miss Kemp.
hey.
How do you do? Pleased to meet
Ah.
you.
That's a damn.
I misunderstood. Well, I didn't misunderstand. I didn't understand what kind of movies you were talking about, whether it was just horror movies or
I
movies
love
in
horror
general.
movies, period. But
Okay.
but Halloween's my favorite.
Well, a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
feel the same way.
I think Donald Pleasance has one of those perfect voices that
Yes,
can be
he is.
eloquent and creepy at the same time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis was famous by that movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
And her mom was in, of course, Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
I remember seeing Psycho 2 at the drive-in as part of a double feature. Came out in 82, 83. And then the second feature was Cat People, a remake
Mhm.
with Natasha Kinski, of
Yeah.
all people.
And
Now,
David Bowie.
yeah.
With the music anyway.
Isn't she Rashida Jones' mom?
Now that I don't know.
I don't know.
Because
I don't
Rashida
know.
Jones is Quincy Jones is her father, and I think Natasha is her mother, but I'm not positive. Anyway,
This is what we need John Scarborough in here tonight.
Oh, Mr. Google could answer all of our questions.
Mr. Google.
I'll tell you one thing I really enjoy, Kimberly, are the Halloween spoof movies, scary
Yeah.
movies.
Are
Scary
scary
movie.
movies?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen those.
I have.
When I went to see 4, I thought I was going to be asked to leave the theater. I was laughing so hard.
Oh, have you ever seen the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I think you're
when-
seeing Return of the Attack of the
Yeah.
Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, I think is that the one with John Aston in it? I'm not sure. Gomez Adams.
It had Karen Mistel in it. She was
Okay.
one of those actresses from one of the early Fox TV network shows, New Adventures of Beans Baxter.
Hell, you done took over my stuff here. I gotta go get a beer.
I think I done took over his podcast.
Oh,
Well,
that's all right.
we'd rather have you on here than him anyway. So
Oh, no. We want both of them.
Yeah, we do want both of them. But we're happy to have you.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
better looking than me.
and
You did good,
Chris,
Josh.
Chris, you are right. Jones was born in Los Angeles, California, to American musician Quincy Jones and German actress Natasha Kinski. She has 2 maternal half-siblings, 6 paternal half-siblings, including actresses Rashida and Kadada Jones and producer Quincy Jones III.
Yep.
So there you have it.
Yeah, Quincy was quite popular with the ladies.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was a jazz musician.
To say it mildly,
Musician.
yes.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest producers in the music industry.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most of Michael Jackson's biggest albums he produced.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he put out some pretty good albums of his own, too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And he along with Michael and Lionel Richie, I think, did the original "We Are the World."
Right.
Yep. Roped everybody into that, and it worked.
Now-
worked.
Oh, speaking of
As
Halloween
a
movies,
performance, it worked.
Okay.
have you ever seen? Now, this was a little bit cheesy, but it's got Michelle Forbes in it. Have you ever seen Pinata Island?
No, can't say that I have. I was about to say when Attack of the Killer Tomatoes first came out, it was one of those things where this movie is an intentionally horrible. It's just laugh out loud. It's a parody of horror movies. It's a parody of all those monster movies from the 50s and 60s. And it's supposed to be just so laugh out loud silly. And I went to the premiere in the town where I lived. There were like 5 people in the audience in a big old movie theater. And I'm going, oh, this is going to be so much fun because I can laugh all I want to and nobody's going to ask me to leave. And it turned out to be just one of the goofiest things I've ever seen. And then they came out with sequels to it. And I'm going, oh, this must have made much more money than the 5 people that were with me. So.
I never even knew about the movie until I used to buy Famous Monsters of the Filmland magazine and Fangoria magazine.
Yeah.
And both of them had stuff in there. I'm like, what's this about these killer tomatoes? And I'm like, and then finally I saw it on VHS tape one time and watched it and said, thank God I only rented it and didn't buy it.
Yeah, really, if you don't know that it's supposed to be just the goofiest thing ever and intentionally goofy, you're going to think, why am I watching this garbage?
Riley, get out of here.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Get out of here.
Kimberly, did you ever watch Maximum Overdrive?
I did not.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I actually enjoyed that one.
That is actually from a Stephen King book.
Yes,
Yep.
and he's in the movie, and it's funny when the ATM calls him an asshole. And he's like, honey, this thing just called me an asshole.
It wasn't wrong.
The cool thing about that movie is there is a young married couple, just brand new newlyweds. They're traveling on their honeymoon, and the one that is the wife actually does the voice of Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons.
Wow.
Yep. And it's actually got a pretty good cast in it.
It's got a great cast in it. It's got a lot of action, and it is kind of spooky as all get out once you understand the premise is that machinery has come alive and is trying to kill people.
Yep. All because a comet came through.
Yeah.
Oh, Night of the Living Comet. With Mary Catherine Stewart. That was another good kind of horror movie. And it wasn't necessarily Halloween, but it was sort of. It kind of had zombies in it, so it was a little bit of a Halloween feel to it.
Shaun of the Dead.
Night of the Scarecrow. That was one I saw on TV over and over every year on Halloween.
Now that wasn't the Patrick McGowan thing from Scarecrow of Romney Marsh, was it?
No.
Here's your original guest back.
Didn't mean to creep you out, Kimberly.
Well, you gonna put the dog on there now?
I think we bored her to tears.
Oh. And here I was going to ask her if she liked any of the Universal monster movies, because those were my favorite, especially Frankenstein and Dracula.
Yep. I actually have got those on the hard drive over here. And let's see, I think it's 4 or 5 of the Frankenstein movies, 2 or 3 of the werewolf movies, the originals I'm talking about, black and white. Lots of the Hammer horror movies, but just because Christopher Lee was in them.
Right.
Thank you for helping on, Kimberly.
Yes, thank you, Kimberly. And
They're all saying thanks.
Yeah, do please come in again.
They said please come in again.
Yeah, Saturday night.
Saturday night. Oh no, she's got to work Saturday night.
Oh well.
Oh darn!
I remember what swing shift was like. Yeah. Ugh. It's one of those things where I am glad I'm on daytime only now, but
Yeah.
Boy, could I make some money on swing shift. Working Monday through Friday, I feel like I'm getting half a paycheck every week, you know?
I worked 7-day swing shift for Future X Plastics. Never got used to third shift. Never could hardly sleep during the day.
11 to 7.
They had, well, it was noon to 8. Or, I mean, midnight to 8. And we had to sign in to come in 4 hours early or stay over 4 hours late. And I actually did both one time because the people who were signed in to do it weren't there and I was. And they told me double time.
Yep.
I'm like, I'll do it. You know, knowing that we had the 3-day weekend. This was the last day on the Friday night, Saturday morning. We had the 3-day weekend. I could rest a little bit.
Yep. When you're on that and people are laying out or calling in sick, and you've already worked 12 because you wanted 4 hours overtime, and all of a sudden you get the opportunity to work 16.
Oh yeah,
double time. You go for it. I mean, Uncle Sam gonna love you for it, but you will get a little bit extra in your paycheck.
Well, that's like Delphi. My shift was 6 o'clock in the evening to 4 o'clock in the morning. Love that shift.
Yeah.
I'd tell my wife when I did the 16-hour right before my 3-day weekend, I would say, if you let me sleep till 1 o'clock, we'll go to the Cracker Barrel in Terre Haute tonight for supper. And she kept the girls. I think she sent the girls down the street or something because it was off. It was too quiet for someone who had 2 daughters. So
I can't believe Kimberly got on here, Bill.
Hey,
she runs normally.
She saw you having a good time and wondered what we were like. Well, now she knows, so she ran away again.
Yeah.
Well, now
just
she
for a
didn't
different
run.
reason.
No, she didn't run away. She's going back in there to watch a movie she just watched.
Oh. We gave her a bunch of movie suggestions.
Oh, tell her to watch Big Trouble in Little China. That's a good one. It's not a horror movie. It's funny as all get out.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that's a great movie.
I like that one. I like Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh yes.
I like Rocky Horror Picture Show and Shock Treatment for different reasons than I like Buckaroo Banzai and Big Trouble in Little China. But
Bailey, go back in there. Shit.
Who is the actor in Big Trouble in Little China? James Hong.
Yeah, the one they just finally decided to give him an award.
I think he's finally getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's about damn time.
The man's worked his ass off for 50 years. Yeah.
Come on,
I gotta hope he's like Betty White, lives forever.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
I was going to say, you said Betty White, not Charlie Watts.
Well, that's sad too.
I'm still hardly getting over that. And now Lou Grant. Oh my God. We lost Lou Grant, and this Sunday on MeTV at 1 o'clock Central Time, they're going to do a big tribute to Lou Grant by running some of the best of Lou Grant on Mary Tyler Moore shows on MeTV Sunday afternoon. So
it's funny. Wasn't Mary Tyler Moore kind of more of a sitcom, and then Lou Grant was actually like a drama?
I love that show.
pitched Lou Grant as more of a sitcom, but then when they finally started doing it, it turned out to be much, much more dramatic. I mean, it
Yeah.
had a couple of comedy moments in every episode, but
Yeah.
it was not laugh-a-minute stuff.
And-
it was actually serious.
Yeah.
And the guy who played Rossi on Lou Grant was actually in All the President's Men as one of the guys who was going to get sent to prison for Watergate. I'm trying to think of the name of the character that he played in All the President's Men, but you look at him and you're like, that's Rossi from Lou Grant, you know.
Well, I don't remember Rossi, but I think Robert Walden was the actor that was in it, playing one of the reporters. He was in a show a long time ago on Showtime called Brothers,
Okay.
and he was the middle one that owned the bar. The older one was kind of like the one that kind of was the man of the family because the father died when they were young. And then the last one was actually gay, and they were trying to come to terms with him being gay. It was an interesting show. It was kind of a comedy. It was kind of a drama. It was
Robert Walden was Rossi.
okay.
And yes, he was in Brothers, Blue Sunshine, Bloody Mama. Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, he was, and I'm trying to think of the actor's name that played Animal, the big hippie photographer on Lou Grant, and I've seen him in some other things too. And I'm, and the same thing, maybe a little bit shorter hair or clean shaven on a couple of them, but you look at him and you think, oh, that's Animal from Lou Grant,
Did they steal that concept for the American Godzilla movie?
I don't know.
Because they had a cameraman named Animal, and he was pretty wild. But it was one of the guys that does voices for Simpsons.
His name was Daryl Anderson.
Daryl Anderson, yes, yeah.
Well, this wasn't the one I was talking about because it is he's also in Mystery Men.
And his character was Dennis Price, I believe, in Lou Grant. Say that one more time, Dan, because I think it almost jogged something in my memory.
I got
Okay.
the name of what I was trying to say.
The photographer guy from the American Godzilla movie, and was also in Mystery Men. He also does voice work for The Simpsons.
Was it William H. Macy?
No. William H. Macy was in Mystery Men. He was not in Godzilla. It was oh God, his name's right on the tip of my forebrain. I can't dig it out.
Hank Azaria?
That's the one.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the one. And it's amazing how many different kinds of voices he can do. But it was interesting when you brought up a cameraman named Animal. I go, did they steal that concept for this other movie? And I'm going, well, they could have, but I have no way of knowing since I didn't see the first one that was mentioned. So I can't draw parallels.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now I'm wanting to see Lou Grant again. I'm gonna have to see if it's on Tubi TV or it'd probably be CBS Paramount, I imagine.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was actually a pretty decent show. And it was one of the better spin-offs of Mary Tyler Moore.
It's amazing the kind of stuff that we actually grew up with and thought, "Oh, this is great." And when it had run its course and gone off, we waited for the next big thing,
Mm.
and as if that were normal. And then nowadays we look back at it and we go, "That was groundbreaking stuff, and we never knew it because we were too young to realize."
Yeah. Actually, one of my favorite singers from the 80s was actually in Lou Grant. She played Kitty Larson. I think she was a young woman in Death Row. Her name in real life was Terry Nunn, and she was with the group Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Terry Nunn, yeah.
Oh, by the way, Kimberly just said the movie she was trying to think of was Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
I think I brought that one up, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Of course, anything with Simon Pegg in it's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Whether he means it to be or not.
Yeah, and I actually thought he did good as Scotty in the Kelvin timeline of Star Trek.
Yeah, he did. He did. It was a bit of an adjustment.
Well, the weird thing is the way the contract was set up is the movies had to be 25% different from the TV show. And I never knew why that was in the original contract. But and maybe it was the same for the different set of movies because it was a different group of people behind the writing and all that. They had to make it 25% more different from the other stuff. And that always complicates matters.
Yeah, it does. It means that you can't just take one of the old scripts and film it with new people.
Yeah.
You have to change the words. You have to change the action. You have to change the plot just a bit. Yeah. And it worked. It worked. I mean, it's not one of my favorite branches of Star Trek, but for itself, in and of itself, it worked.
I think they were starting to get right on track, but the problem is when Anton Yelchin died, that just took all the wind out of the sails for that project.
Well, yeah, it affected everybody in the cast as well as the production crew and the writers themselves, because there's no way you can recast because he did such a great performance as the character.
I mean, if he'd lived, we'd probably had 2 more movies out by now, if not 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, while we're talking about people that died, this goes back to this goes to football. 2 Alabama players or former football players died today. One was, I think he was 74, 75. He died with COVID. He played played with Bear Bryant, Coach Fuller.
Yeah.
And McCants, I don't think he was but 52, and I think they found him in Georgia. And he had overdosed.
That's bad.
So.
Well, I mean, it's horrible that somebody's life took a twist that tragic.
Yeah.
And you think of the loss of everything that they had been doing up till whatever it was that took them off the rails. And the only thing you can blame is whatever it was that took them off the rails. But everybody's got darkness in their lives.
Yeah.
I mean,
but he's been dealing with that for years.
Well, there's a lot of former football players, especially, their bodies took so much abuse and punishment that their pain levels are just through the roof. And trying to deal with it, I mean, it becomes too much for them because, the medicine they take, they keep having to get it stronger and stronger. And eventually,
They just
your
can't
body
handle
gets
it.
adjusted to it, and the pain doesn't go away. And if you
Yep.
can't find some way of finding something to take your mind off that pain and get any reliefs, sadly, a lot of them, the only way they get out of it's,
That
for
way.
one.
Yeah. Just to
Is it-
call it quits, basically, not to put too fine a point on it.
Yeah.
And
Is this wireless headset sounding all right?
yeah, sounds fine. Couldn't tell it from the wired one.
Okay.
Sounds
Well, I
good.
had to put my phone on charge there. So.
Hey, don't worry about it.
It happens.
I'm not looking forward to trying to do stuff at Hallowcon with a laptop because, well, for one thing, there won't be a blue screen, so it'll have lots of processor space left over. But then again, without a Cat 5 cable and some good internet in the hotel, it's still going to be choppy as all get out. And I'm not looking forward to that. But
Joe said they dropped 2 lines in the big room and one in the main panel room. So, and it's going to be running off the hotel's internet, not their internet for the guests.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be good quality.
Is that splittable so we can all plug into it, or what?
Well, I could probably get access to a splitter if I need to.
I was about to say I could get access to that too myself. I was going to say Kimberly couldn't get access to her schedule for October. So until next week, I told y'all I probably know today, but
hey, that's fine, Josh. Stuff happens.
Yeah, really.
Well, with all this crap going on,
I understand. Like I said, hopefully y'all can come.
But I want a chili cook-off with Joe or John. John, I want it all. I mean, John said, well, I don't know, Dan, I don't know if you seen the chili I cooked yesterday, but
I did see the photograph. Yeah,
I did see the post.
John.
It looks like the chili my mama used to make.
I'm thinking myself, Josh is getting ready.
I mean that as a compliment.
Well, thank you, sir. John said that he was like, yeah, I went out and bought some, I think he said he bought some sirloin meat and some bison, but he was going to cook some chili too.
He's been looking for venison, but
yeah,
I don't know if it's yet.
And then Skunk said he was going to eat or had ate some chili. I was like, hell, I guess everybody's eating chili this week.
My wife is going to make some, and she likes mine more than she likes hers. But she's tired of me being back here on the camera instead of in the kitchen cooking. So
it's still a little bit too warm for me to enjoy chili as much as I would like to. But
it's definitely a cold weather thing for me as well.
It's definitely going to be the right time at Hallowcon.
Yes.
So,
my mom always waited to make chili until the very first snowfall of the year.
No,
so not just some light flurry, but snowfall that would stick to the ground. And all of our friends, when we were teenagers growing up, they all knew, the first snowfall, Rosalinda's going to be making chili and that. And so they would always find a reason to come over, to have supper and all that. And everybody said, well, all these people know what are you going to do? And Mom says, I'm making a big pot. That's all there is to it,
Yeah, really. Let's go take Bill a new comic book so we can have some of his mama's chili.
Well,
Mhm.
Bill, how cold was that then, Bill? Before the snow.
Cold enough to make it turn from rain to snow. I mean, that's all
It's
there is to
freezing.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
down south, that'd been a month before that.
Yeah.
Hey, down here we might go 5 years without seeing a snowflake, but when we
Yeah.
do, everything shuts down for 600 miles around. There ain't a
Yeah,
there ain't a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, or any beer anywhere in
That,
any grocery
that
store.
that's because they ran out of that during the blizzard, and they're like, "This is not ever happening again. Not while I'm still alive."
That's right.
when
Oh,
they
it's gonna snow. I'm making French toast.
well,
We just got to introduce you to snow plows and
nah,
salt trucks.
no,
Bill, they
You
don't
Bill,
haven't
don't
you
bring
haven't
me.
lived until you've drove behind a salt truck.
No,
they
don't
don't
bring it.
budget for that around here.
Man.
They
Just throw
couldn't
some
afford to
sand
stuff
out.
with everything else.
The best
I
way
know
to get
that's why everything shuts down there because you guys don't have a budget for it.
Well, I'll tell you something else,
No,
Bill. Atlanta is a lot more hilly and mountainous than a lot of people realize. It's the highest state capital east of the Mississippi River.
Mhm.
Well, I was gonna say, Chris, that's like Birmingham. I mean, I know you've been through Birmingham.
It's been a while, but yeah.
That thing's hilly as all get out, Red Mountain and all that crap
Well,
up
it's
there.
kind of in a
Yeah,
valley too, isn't it?
Do you
yeah.
remember where I'm from?
Well, yeah,
We're
I know where
talking Blue Ridge Parkway, my
Yeah,
hometown.
but it's a little flatter in Illinois than it is.
Well, Illinois, yeah, but not in Cherokee, though.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay, yeah. I started to
that's the
say
thing.
Blue Ridge Parkway. I know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, you got
yeah.
all the roads for the semi trucks who brakes will not work on ice, and so they gotta drive up into the
emergency
roads that
runoff
go
ramp,
up that'll break it for them.
emergency drive off ramps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's
Oh
Oh,
one of
yeah,
those
yeah.
on top of
everywhere.
mountain. No, Mount
They
Everest.
are
and
everywhere.
well,
They're
down
on
here
Mount
we
Everest.
just down here they just drive over another car. I mean,
Well,
But
sometimes they still did that up there too, but
Yeah.
but that's the thing that aggravates me, Bill. A lot of people up north don't realize how hilly and mountainous uh, Atlanta is, and Peachtree Street is actually on a ridge. And you go down from the center of that ridge, it's a pretty steep drop off on both sides.
yeah.
You ain't getting up that hill going the other way if there's an inch of ice on the road.
Yeah.
no,
I have seen it ice over so bad that people were stuck on Interstate 70 right outside of Indianapolis, and they tried to go forward in their
they go
cars,
backwards.
and no, they go sideways.
Yep.
And they were ending up going down into ditches and off into cornfields and everything else because they're literally, I mean, and this is even four-wheel drive trucks and that. You get black ice, and then you freeze over that, and then black ice on top of that, and you might as well just shut it down and stay where you're at.
You should have had snow chains on.
Well,
That's still no guarantee,
sometimes,
but it'll help.
But if
yeah,
I say on ice,
can't
you ain't
hurt.
doing nothing.
Yeah.
might
Yeah,
spin you in circles.
I remember the first LibertyCon I went to up at, well, it wasn't exactly in Chattanooga. It was right before you get to Chattanooga. But
East Ridge,
big
probably.
East Ridge, yeah. And I left a little bit early that Sunday rather than staying for the Dig Dog party because I didn't know anything. It was the first real convention I'd ever been to. So I ducked out window. There was this tremendous thunderstorm. The highway was just rained out. People were just lined up. And here's these people on four-wheel drives trying to go around where people were stuck in the traffic. And it's on a ridge. And they went whoosh, right down. sideways in their 4-wheel drive pickup truck. I'm going, well, if you just parked the damn thing, you'd have been all right.
Well, you
Wait
should have
30
seen
minutes.
You should have seen these idiots trying to drive during the blizzard in 4-wheel drives.
I've done it. I didn't like it, but I've done it. And it
Hell,
probably wasn't too damn safe to be behind me, but it was all right if there wasn't nobody in front of me.
they drove off into the ditches with 4-wheel drives jacked up and everything. Is just they didn't need to be on the road. You didn't need to be on the road, Jen, unless you absolutely had to be.
Hey, what year was that big superstorm? 93?
93.
Yes.
93. Let's see, there was one in 78.
Yep.
That's the one we had.
There was a fairly
77, 78.
There was a fairly big ice storm in April of '84. I remember, because we didn't
I
have
think.
school that day.
Well, I was about to say, I think we had there was another one in like 96, 95, 96.
It happens about every 5 years or so down here.
Yeah.
You know,
We're-
weather
we're-
conditions are just right. And if you're not familiar with driving in a foot of snow, you shouldn't attempt a 1/4 inch ice.
Yeah. And the good thing about the blizzard of '93 is I happened to be watching Glenn Burns on Channel 2. Dan knows who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I know who you're talking about.
And I saw on that map 16 to 20 inches of snow. And I'm like, I better bring some extra firewood down to the house.
Uh-huh.
That made all the difference in the world because that stuff I brought inside was dry. And if fire went out, we would use it to start it back up. And the
And
stuff
dry
was
out
little.
the wet stuff.
Yep. And
Grew up with several fireplaces. Yeah.
and luckily, my grandmother had canned plenty of vegetables. And we threw everything in the fridge and the freezer out in the snow, keep it cold. And so when it came time to eat, she would lift up the cover and vent on the wood burning stove, and she would make cornbread with the milk that we had and the cornmeal that she had. And we would have chilled and the broken parts of the green beans that she canned. And then we'd have tomato soup, and she had some pork tenderloin that she canned. And we would eat that when we had soup, and she'd alternate between days what we'd eat. So we made it pretty good, but the horses, their water was a pain in the butt to try and break and make sure that they had enough each
Yep.
time.
Yep. Because it didn't take long to refreeze once you broke the ice on the top.
And
I got a great cannon story that Chris just reminded me of when he was talking about eating the canned food.
Mm-hmm.
During the estate sale this past weekend, some of the stuff that we had was probably about 250, 300 canning jars. And a lot of them were old vintage canning jars with the zinc lids and that. Of various kind, wide mouth, narrow mouth, everything. Has anybody ever heard the story of the number 13 canning jars?
I hadn't until
Can't say
you
that I
told me
have.
about it.
Not by
Yeah,
name. No.
I think I told Josh about it. They're various companies, whether it's Ball, Mason, Kerr, any of the other ones, and that. These canning jars, to find out, are worth a decent amount of money. Simply the fact that because back in the days, and I'm talking 70, 80 years ago, people that went out and bought the canning jars, and there's always a sequence of numbers on the bottom, and they generally all mean something to show the value of the jar for those who collect them. But if you ever find a number 13, you hang on to it, because people were so superstitious that when they were buying boxes of canning jars, if they'd see a number 13 jar in there, they'd turn around and look at the bottom, and they'd see that number, and they'd go smash, and they'd bust them up, and they'd never use them. And so therefore, and I'm talking, this was widely done. And so it really reduced the amount that were around. We found 4 number 13 canning jars in this collection that this woman had at this estate sale. And the least expensive one out of the 4 that we had, that we researched according to the company and condition and everything, was $75. That's the least one. The biggest one that we had, as far as worth, and like I said, we would go with eBay sold prices and then do half of it. And that the biggest one was $286
for one jar.
One jar, number 13. You look on the bottom and look for the number 13.
I still say she had a steal somewhere.
But no, people, because of superstition, it made things very collectable. I mean, not that any of them are not. I mean, they're these canning jars are very collectible for various reasons, and that,
Yeah, and, especially the older they are, the more vintage they are. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them, because of different graphics embedded into the glass, or different text, different fonts for certain things. It just goes on and on and on, which would take the rest of the show and then the next 2 shows to explain it all. But I just thought it was so interesting, and we never knew about this. The guy that told our boss about this, he texted her. We were in the middle of one of our 14-hour days, and then he turned around and texted her while we were at lunch, and telling the story about it, because he knew that she had a considerable collection of all these mason jars that went way back, and it's really a neat story. But it's one of those things, oh, that's urban legend, that nobody ever did that. Well, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
And it rarely. And I have a bunch here at home, and of course I came home, had nothing, but
let me go get another beer. And I have I have something that you might be interested in, Bill. Not that I'm ever going to sell it, but you might appreciate its value for the artifact that it is. And I shall return momentarily.
There's a teaser, if I've ever heard one.
Not from Dan.
Yeah, it's the cliffhanger. Stay tuned Saturday night to Last Man Standing for Dan's collectible.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't respond to you today, Bill. Like I said, that guy that was cutting grass today killed me, my sinuses and crap.
My only concern was any bad weather. and
No.
I got looking elsewhere, and I was looking at stuff that you posted and Greg Kisla posted, the live stuff in United Weather Network group, and that I've watched a couple of those, and the shelf clouds and that he was showing, and some of the ones that had rotation from the other day. And so my thing was, well, I'm kind of wondering if you guys got any nasty weather today, like New Orleans and Mississippi did, but I wasn't sure.
No, what Greg posted, that was that's the reason I didn't get back on last night. I was having to run radar for him while he was actually chasing a tornado warning up there in Delaware.
So we got a new one now, a new hurricane that's getting ready to come on, and they believe it's already a Category 1.
I think it's Larry or whatever the heck it's called.
I believe it is, yeah.
So we've already had a code name still?
It shouldn't be. It should not be a threat to the United States. It's supposed to turn back out to sea.
Yeah, they were saying something maybe next week or something off the coast of New Mexico or something, but they were just, I won't say guessing, but, giving approximates more than they were anything definite.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go, Bill.
Oh, okay. I don't see it the best, but I think I know.
Him up.
Is that an old lab beaker?
Nope.
That's a vase.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
It is from the Dr. Pepper Bottling Company in Boaz, Alabama.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yep.
This is a Dr. Pepper bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's reflecting green, so it's fading out in the green screen. But let's see.
Oh, wow.
Contents: 1/2 pint of liquid. Let's see. Gonna have to get the flashlight for this one because it's not reflecting enough.
Mm-hmm. Come
Come on, you damn silly thing.
You got a strobe. That flashlight's ready to party.
Welcome to Dan's Disco.
No, this one has several settings. There we go.
We might have that for the chili cook-off, Josh.
Let's see.
Joe better not eat mine.
Dr. Pepper Bottling Company, Boaz, Alabama. I cannot see a date. But
There got to be some kind of numbers on it.
They may not have put one on them in those days.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little something near just off center that looks like a brand in the glass itself. Like a branding iron. Somebody just
right. Like a maker's mark or something.
I can see something that looks like a scarab and a number 2, and maybe a P or an R on the other side of that, and something that is either a 4 or just a straight line etched towards the center of the glass. It's just one of those things. But I have had this for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, it has been in my possession for 50 years. And I know it is much older than that.
Sometimes, Dan, you could go on eBay has a camera option in the search where you can take a picture of that and it'll pop up. It's almost like Google goggles back in the day, but they'll have that on there, and sometimes you can find out some more information about it. I'll run to my China cabinet now since we're doing this, and I'll bring back something here from Danville. I'll be right back.
Bill's going out there, you know.
Hey, that'd be easy to do. I mean, this is about the most antique thing in the house besides me.
But I lost all the antiques during the tornado of 2011. So
I lost quite a few during the tornado that was my divorce from my first wife. So a lot of stuff did not get stolen; it got broken, and then a lot of other stuff got stolen.
I still got a Sears and Roebuck 16 gauge shotgun.
Single shot break action.
Yes, sir.
I've got one. I think it was from J.C. Penney, but I'm not sure. There's no maker's mark on it to tell where my uncle bought it from. This guy was one of those folks that could take a sack of stuff out of the garden, parlay it, trading and swapping and dealing to a shotgun and a bird dog, and then an antique pistol, and then 6 months worth of cabinetry work by somebody that was really good at making cabinets, all in the same day. I mean, he never came out on the losing end of any deal in a swap and trade he did. He was a walk-in pawn shop.
I got that, and my granddad's it's an A-bolt that's got a clip for a shotgun. That's 12 gauge, and I don't know what brand or what it is, but it's old as hell.
Why is it nobody's making 16 gauge anymore? They stopped years ago. I can't find 16 gauge.
Yeah, it's hard to find damn ammo for it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, my dad's got a Winchester Model 12 in 16 gauge, and it's fabulous. It is absolutely fabulous. I don't think after Dad died anybody's even touched it. But they used to hand it to me and send me out in the middle of a 12-acre cornfield. Go, make sure the crows don't get very much. And I'm sitting there on the ground waiting for him to come in and go, here, crowy, 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 boom! I got talked about in crow language for a long time.
I think 12 and 20 gauge are about the only types of shotgun shells that are made anymore.
People are still making 410, but not as much as they used to.
There's a 16. It's in pristine condition.
That is a pretty gun.
Yeah.
And there's the 12, the 8-bolt. And I don't know who put that crap on it, on the freaking barrel. But
the camo, yeah, well.
Yeah. It's still good.
You could take it off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could change barrels out on it, but got that. I mean, it's got a clip in it. I mean, I've never seen a shotgun like that. Yeah,
that is rare. Bolt action with a clip. That is rare.
I do have one. I got a 1963 model Mossberg 12 gauge bolt action.
Bill loves this. That right there.
That armoire?
The dresser?
Yeah. Dresser. That's my great aunts from Georgia.
Now, Bill, you got a bottle in your hand and it ain't full of nothing. Oh, that's a Coca-Cola, I can tell.
It's a Coca-Cola bottle that was, if I can get it on there, bottled in Danville, Illinois.
Yeah.
on there. Maybe you can see
I,
it.
I can make it out.
And if Coke is too strong for you, then we got some milk for you from Producers Dairy, which we still have a little league ball field called Producers Ballpark, which I used to play for when we moved up here. This one's from Danville, and it says, "Mom, may I have another glass of Danville Producers Dairy milk?" And I have a smaller version of this bottle. The older ones on the back that are of the more valuable Danville Producers Dairy milk bottles have some World War II era graphics. Instead of the kid eating the bread with his milk, it talks about buying war bonds for the war effort. And those are I've still yet to get one of those, but I'm on the lookout for it.
Yeah, those would be the collectible ones. Yeah,
I've seen them, but they're in the triple digits for what most people want for them. This one here, I actually got a decent price on it. I think I paid $45 for it about 8 or 10 years ago. One of our local antique places over in St. Joseph, Illinois, was having a 40% off sale. So I snatched that up fairly quick on that one because the graphics are real good. A lot of times you'll see them, they're all wore off and you don't see much. And then on the bottom, it's quite well too. But I need to get some of those little white beads to put in there to fill it up, and then you can actually read this a whole lot better when they're, it gives the illusion that it's full of milk, but they usually use these little white beads for it, and I just never have gotten it. But it sits in the kitchen with all my collector's glassware and stuff in there, and same as that Captain Marvel one that I was drinking my Coke out of earlier. And on occasion, you'll see when I post my Sunday morning pancake pictures, sometimes there'll be a glass of milk there in a Speedy Gonzales glass or a BC glass or a Batman or whatever,
I haven't heard BC in a long time.
Yeah, I got a few of them. I even got a cereal bowl, and of course they had a huge collection of all that.
Yeah.
The black and white glasses first, and then they did the color ones afterwards. But and then the bowls were like the little milk glass bowls.
Oh yeah.
Had the graphics of the anteater on one side, and he was on one side, and I'm trying to think. I think it was the turtle or whatever on the other side of the bowl, but there was graphics on both sides of the bowls. But
yes, I am.
Lindsay's got a cup. Oh, sorry, Chris.
I'm going to get out of here. I hope y'all have a great night. I look forward to seeing y'all hopefully tomorrow night and definitely on Saturday night.
Well, thank you very much for being here, and we've enjoyed your company.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot.
Oh.
All right there, Chris.
And our Bill gets a kick out of telling Brian K. Morris that every time he sees him.
Yeah, I get him. Join us for some fun, and you may learn something before it's done, which is actually something I stole from Bill Cosby at the beginning of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Don't steal too much from Bill Cosby.
Hey.
I remember that. All right, guys. Well, until next time, have a great night.
Have a
All
good
right,
one.
take care, Chris.
See y'all.
Sleep well. Now, Lindsay has actually got a couple of half-pint bottles from when she was living in England. One is a milk bottle with a British flag on it. The other one is, I think, an orange juice bottle. And these were actually delivered by the milkman. Had a little foil thing on the top. The cream would rise to the top of the milk. I mean, you talking they're supposed to be rinsed out and returned so that they could be taken back to the company and sterilized and refilled and delivered to somebody else. But she's had these for half a century or better. And I mean, she ain't that much older than half a century, but then I am. So
I got a couple of the original cardboard tops that went on our milk bottles, and they would hammer them down to seal them and show all the different dairy. I got a metal gold one, and then I forget what the other one is, but it's a Danville one on there. And we had a milkman in Cherokee. We actually had a milkman who was also an egg and butter man. And Mom, he was local, and Mom, he'd come 3 times a week, and Mom would leave a note on what she wanted out for him, and he'd, drop off. It'd be no different than the Schwan man driving his truck around, but it was the milkman. But I never, like bottles like this, I never saw them around there, and that there was too much of everything else, but so I never really got into knowing much anything about them, let alone collecting them, until after we moved up here.
Well, it turns out that somewhere along the line, Lindsay became an expert on glass insulators for electric power lines and telegraph lines and things like that. She can tell you all kinds of details about insulators and which ones are actually worth money and which ones you might as well melt down and make a shot glass out of, because they're practically we have seen stuff in junk shops that we have gone to, and she's looked at it and go, they want $5 for that. It's worth 3 cents. I mean, it's the most common one ever, and they're still being made, as far as I know. But then the stuff that's really expensive, that's really collectible, has turned out to be not the green bottle glass color, but the absolutely clear, transparent ones that were put out on power poles out in the Midwest, the far West, and got soaked up enough ultraviolet light where they naturally turned purple just from age. Now there is a way for forgers to fake that, and it's very hard to tell unless you're somebody that is collecting the stuff and you know exactly what to look for. But some of those that have, the real deal that has been aged by the ultraviolet and turned purple can fetch a pretty good chunk of money. But they're few and far between nowadays, because a lot of them have wound up in junk shops and whatnot, and people overpricing them because they think they've got something. But no, it's the ultraviolet exposure that actually makes them worth money. If they haven't been aged, they're just a lump of glass, basically.
Well, I
So
mean,
you say the ones that
kind of the
go
same way
ahead,
with
Josh.
beer, kind of the same way with beer bottles. I mean, they
Yeah.
start out as clear. Well, a lot of beer companies use clear because cheap, clear,
Mhm.
and once they get darker and darker, it costs more. So
Yep, definitely. Because they've soaked up a lot of ultraviolet and changed colors on their own. Wasn't because they were made that dark. Okay, what were you going to say, Bill?
No, you were alluding to people faking them, and I'm wondering how they do it, if they were injecting a dye in it or whatever, because I would think that if you would try to just simply paint it or glaze it, you would be able to tell that right away.
Yep, it's something in between that and
putting it up
putting it
under
in like
ultra
a tanning bed.
UV light. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have to be a humongously bright UV light to age it prematurely. So, but there are people that have tried some kind of thin wash glaze over stuff that nobody was smart enough to go ahead and try and scrape off, and tried to fake things up like that. And then there I have been, since I've been married to her, I've heard endless varieties of what glass insulators can be. And I have seen lots of photographs of things. There's some incredible stuff out there on power poles that may have been there for, half a century
50
or
years. Yeah.
longer. Yeah. And it's just the most amazing designs of stuff that people just made just for power poles, or even the big metal towers, because they've got the big things on them. They got the huge ones. You might find something big as Captain America's shield on one of them, and solid glass. Oh God! Talk about trying to tote that bugger around on a strap. You'll break your arm. 50
So how
pounds.
does one tell the real ultraviolet glass insulators from the fake ones? What are you looking for?
Mostly the fake ones, or some kind of like a paint or a dye that's been put on it that can be scraped off or rinsed off or something like that. With the real ones, it's actually in the glass. And
I was about to say you can probably use a black light or
I was about to say the real ones will actually fluoresce under ultraviolet light. So you can one of those little lights like you buy for if you're one of those CSI fans and you want to find out how many people had sex in your motel room or something.
Not this light, I take it.
Oh no.
That's my bat signal light, but oh well.
I don't believe that would age anything very quickly, because
It'd take a long time.
uh-huh.
No, I had a friend who also was originally from Brevard, North Carolina, and then his dad got transferred the same as mine. Well, and he used to go out and collect the insulators and that, because he said that, and this would have been during the mid 70s, simply because he said, well, they're going away from it, and then you won't see them anymore. So I'm going to go and get some and collect them and that. And I don't know if his knowledge of it went any further than just that, what he said or whatever, but you do see them everywhere around here.
Uh-huh.
And that, and all the antique malls and stuff.
I think the ones that are like worth less than a nickel each are the Coke bottle green ones that I think they're called Hemingway or Hemingway, something like that. and it's number 16, I do believe. But there's just tons and tons and tons of them out there because they have been made for the longest time, and they're just they're common as mud. So
I've seen blue ones too.
yep, blue ones. And clear ones with the same design, absolutely clear ones with the same design, mostly by the same companies. But no, she would know. She would know much better than I would what the actual collector value is for this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like anything else that's collectible. Unless you have a buyer that's willing to pay, it's just a handful of glass.
Mm.
The good old Southern Company.
Yep. I've got a bag. I've got a what is this damn thing? The Crown Royal bag here, full of what I think is collectible coins, and I'd be lucky if it's worth $1.50 for 20 pounds worth of damn coins in a Crown Royal bag.
I need to show you this coin I've got. I've showed it to Bill. Bill has no idea. I think it's a Spanish coin.
Well, I'm not an expert. I just my interest came you remember when you used to buy reprint comic books in a plastic bag? They're not but they're reprint of really old comic books from all of the different companies, and they'd have this little slip of paper in there, money from the Philippines or Japanese yen or South American coins or something like that. And I got interested in it back when I was a kid. I didn't know what any of this stuff was worth, and I just started collecting stuff that looked weird, and a few Kennedy half dollars or Susan B. Anthony dollar coins, and there's other different people on the darn things now. The whole series of folks, $2 bills. Went to England and came back with handfuls of the weirdest looking money I've ever seen in my life. It's everything but something with a hole in the middle of it. Money that is two different colors. Looks gold and silver at the same time. And I've got a little wallet in the drawer over there with no longer in use pound notes, stuff that it's just paper now, except to a collector that go, oh, I don't have this Irish £1 note, I don't have the Scottish £1 note, that sort of thing. Unless you find somebody that is looking for one, you got nothing. You got a pocket full of waste paper, basically.
We ain't gonna talk about. We can't talk about the person that did that. But.
Oh, I came back from England in 2011, had 150 pounds left over that I didn't get changed over at the airport back to American money. I thought, well, we'll be going back in a year or two. It'll be fine. Now it's been 10 extra years. The £5 note is now just a piece of paper. The £10 note is now just a piece of paper. You can't get it exchanged anymore. There was, if I had just mailed this stuff to relatives, Lindsay's relatives in England, they could have swapped it out for face value and sent me back the real stuff that it would still be worth something, because they changed the money to make counterfeiting harder.
Who was it that collapsed the sterling and the pound?
Oh Lord, that's a
We
while
can't
back.
say that name. I mean,
Reagan.
no, yeah,
No,
we'll stick with that.
he collapsed the American economy.
Yeah.
That's why we're in the shit we're in now because of Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
Broke the unions and then fucked up everything else. Trickle down, yeah. You know what trickles down? Something that's pissing on you from a tree.
The auction we go to on Friday nights, they always have coins in there, and we have about 5 or 6 regular coin buyers.
Bill, I'm
And
gonna have to go get
and
that
then
coin. You keep talking about it.
yeah, they well, they have paper money there and that too. Matter of fact, we see so many 1957 silver certificates. I swear the auctioneer has got a printing press in the back room or something somewhere, because
Hey.
every week there were several of them, you know, and
they're worth a little bit more than face value, but they're not just incredibly valuable.
Right. Yeah, there's.
I'm still waiting on that Confederate money from up there.
Oh, I bought some of that at Six Flags. I mean, good grief.
Yeah.
It's
I bought one at the auction
exactly the
one
same
time.
value as what was originally printed in the 1800s, which is, yeah, I can wipe myself with it if I need to, but other than that, it's just paper.
Yeah, the reprints from the 50s and 60s are actually worth something now. Which is really weird.
Yeah.
And then now they're
when the counterfeit
forging,
money has collectible value
yeah,
higher than the original.
And now they're forging those, which they're only one-sided, but they pop up all the time, and people fight over them like they're the real thing, and I'm like, they're not. They're not even the ones that came out for the centennial anniversary in the 60s. And you know, people are just stupid. You know, they jump. And because, you know, the auctioneer will pull it up and then he'll hold it up in the air and he'll say, okay, Jefferson Davis Confederate $100 bill, or Georgia, whatever it is. And he won't say that, you know, if you didn't go up and look at it ahead of time, people are thinking, oh, real thing. Well, he didn't say it was a real thing. He just said what it was,
what it's
showing on there.
Like it is, yeah.
Yeah. And these people pay stupid money for it. You know, now if it was the real thing, first of all, they would say it. They would say it not once or twice, but probably 5 times. And then it would go for about 10 times the amount of what they've been getting for the forged stuff, you know,
yeah.
That shouldn't even be worth the paper it was printed on. But the ones that came out during the centennial in the 60s, which were still 2-sided Confederate bills, but they will say on there printed in 1963 or 64 or whatever.
Yep.
It is on there, and that they become quite collectible just from the centennial sense. And that's the people our age who remembers, you know, oh, it's the 100th anniversary. It's, you know, and even Charles Schultz commented on that in several Peanuts strips when the Civil War centennial was going on. And, you know, and people, you know, it'd be not much different than what they tried to do with the bicentennial in 76. And, but, you know, some people, they're just quick to react. And that's what a lot of these people are hoping for, you know.
That's the one I was talking about. Me and Bill's been trying to figure this thing out forever. It's some kind of Spanish.
Hmm. It's awfully heavy.
Yes, very heavy. Yeah. I'm kind of fluid in Spanish.
Well, take a picture of it on the eBay app. I was telling you, the search engine, there's a little camera icon over in the right-hand corner, and it's not 100% every time, but it can pop some stuff up that might lead you to what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, I don't want to clean this thing. Because
depending on what's up there on there, and you can find safe cleaning solutions that won't eat away at the coin.
Well, there's a jewelry cloth you can use too, but it takes an awful lot of elbow work.
Right.
And that's what I use on some of the stuff like the state park quarters and the state quarters and stuff that I've been collecting over the last few years, just because it turns up in my pocket change. And you put a $5 bill in a change machine, you get a push full of stuff, and you go, oh, wait a minute, I've got one from Philadelphia and from Denver. That's great.
I had that whole collection, and tornado.
Well, I've got all but a couple of the territory coins from the state collection, and I'm still working on the state park collection. And now they've started something new that I don't even have a folder to put it in.
This is from 1763, supposedly. That coin.
Well, if it really is, that's pretty damn neat. Don't know what it's worth, but it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
It's pretty damn neat just because of the age.
And the rest of my coins are silver dollars and gold dollars and half dollars. So, can be half dollar.
I'll be right back. We don't have too much longer before I'm going to have to call it a night myself. But
I was going to say it's. I'll wait till you get back, but yeah, it's the witching hour here. And,
yep, sure is. I've got 1 o'clock, and I still have to wake up at 6.
No, Josh, I would be leery of duplicates. They have, to this day, you'll see commercials on TV about Standing Liberty or Walking Liberty coins, and it'll say, the 1867 Walking Liberty. Well, and they're making them brand new, but it's nothing from that year.
Double Eagle and all that crap.
It's just meant to be a collector's piece, but not a collector coin. And that, I you don't know if you got.
Could be something, could not be something. I mean,
well, and I don't know whether you got coin shops or anything around there, or even a lot of the pawn shops will have people that will have somebody, a contact with, that's has the knowledge on coin collecting and that could help out. But I would Google, I'm hearing Laura telling me this in my head. Google it. And there's a lot of stuff you could find out just from that, and just start typing that in, and then type in a Google, say, did they make a duplicate
I mean,
collector's coin of this particular one.
I have Googled it, and I have not seen anything that said they made a replicate of it. So,
Mm-hmm.
which it ain't. I mean, it's not worth the. Supposedly the original wasn't. It's not worth but like $75, $100, but.
And I'm
like I
sure
said,
there's a lot of Facebook groups and that are into coin collecting, and you can jump in there or on some websites to say, I have this coin. What's the safest way to clean it without taking anything away from it?
Well, that's what I was about to say. I mean, some people, some collectors might want it like that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they might prefer the tarnish on it. Yeah.
Because obviously it's that's got to be some kind of bronze to be that color. I'm thinking in my head, but
yeah, I've got a 100 peso coin that has got to be brass or bronze. It damn sure ain't gold, but I got it from my grandmother. It's about the size. It's about the size of a quarter. Not even as big around as a $50, but you know, 100 pesos. Yeah, that's like $2 in American money. So.
Right.
Hey, it might be worth more than that right now since the
Well,
dollar's going down.
Considering she had it back when I was about 10 years old, and I'm 63, fixing to turn 64 now. It's been around for a while. Like I said, most of the stuff, unless you've got a collector interested in it, it's just weight. It's just paper and metal.
I had a friend of mine who was back in the 80s, early 90s, was into collecting a lot of the World War II, just anything and everything. I'll leave it at that. And he bought probably a third of his collection off of one person. And this same person told him, now, if you're ever in a bind and you need some money, whatever, I'll buy whatever bayonet or whatever it was that he had to get you the money real quick. And, then you can buy it back, when you're financially able to do it. And I'll never, I'll give you the same amount that I charged you for it to begin with. And so I thought, okay, well, that's awful nice of them. And about 7 or 8 years down the road, he got into a bad financial bind, going through a divorce, and had some other issues pop up at the same time. And he went to this guy and he says, hey, he said, I don't want to get rid of my collection, but there's some Pew Choice pieces that I originally got from you. Like to know if you would buy it back from me till I can deal with my situation here, and then I'll buy it right back from you. And not interested. And plain and simple, he got his money out of him, and which surprised me, because I thought he would have said, yeah, okay, well, I'll buy it back off of you for what I charged you. And then when the guy would actually want it back, then I figured the guy's going to, charge him a hefty interest on it.
Mm-hmm. It's been revalued.
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted nothing to do with it now. And so But anyway, lesson learned, I guess.
Pretty
Hopefully.
much.
I need to call it a night, or actually call it a morning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we got some irons in the fire, which I'm going to try to get in there for Brian's show tomorrow morning at some point, and throw a few comments his way. And then I got some other things to do before I go pick up Laura's dad to go to the auction. She's going to meet us there later. One of her friend's husbands passed away, so she's going to a visitation and asked if I would take her dad, and then she would meet us there. And I said, absolutely. And then we have another. Yeah, it's. I guess he's been sick for quite a while, and she kind of nothing that come up all of a sudden. So. Not that really softens the blow much, but
No.
At least it's something that she knew was coming. So, but anyway, but should be here tomorrow night for the green room, depending on what time we get back from the auction, and then again for the Stupid O'Clock and your show for Saturday night, and looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. I imagine that. I imagine Sunday morning's Last Man Standing is going to go on for a while, unless I'm really surprised when people go, "Oh, I've got plans for Labor Day, so I got to go." And I mean, I think it was last week before last, Nick Talkert came in. It's like me and him for 5 hours.
Wow.
I'm going, nobody's ever going to watch this on YouTube, because nobody's going to watch a 5-hour program on YouTube.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that was 2 weeks ago, because I had to jump out early. So.
Then Brian Morris is talking about a 12-hour marathon, and I'm like, yeah, you guys can do that standing on one foot.
Oh, no, not really. You pay for it.
Go ahead, Dan.
You pay for it the next day, let me tell you. Not in being tired, but in your wife being pissed. You spent all night.
Yeah.
Who, me?
No, me.
Yeah, I was about to say mine too. Well, she passed out, so.
Well, since Kimberly's over her camera shyness and that, she won't care about Josh. She'll just take over.
Obviously.
Hey, get her in the shows. People will treat her right. If they don't, we'll put a foot up their ass.
Yep. Out to go.
I know y'all will.
Hey, I ain't afraid to punt somebody for a field goal.
Well, you got, Carl brings Donna, and Ted brings Christine, and Grant here recently.
Got his woman in there too.
Got Angie in there, and
yes, I've forgotten her name. Yes, thank you,
Angie Dudas.
I was gonna say she's got to work late tomorrow night, and got to work late Saturday night, and I got to work watch Alabama Saturday, which that ain't gonna affect me coming in to this show, either shows. But
you'll either be happy or pissed, one of the two.
Yeah.
You'll either be celebrating or you'll reel in it a beer.
I could be like skunk.
Sorry, skunk. No.
Nobody can be like skunk now. Come on.
Skunk does some beautiful rants. Let me tell you, it's just.
I'll bust skunk rant. There we go.
People do not act like they've got any damn brains, and he's the one that has to deal with them. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better as you get older. Believe me, because I've been employed at the same place for 44 years. Come about 2 weeks from now, and I'm still going. Y'all sure that you want to do that? Because it ain't worked the last 17 times we tried it.
Yeah, I wish Skunk would have. I've done told him to send me a friend request on Facebook a few times. I wish I'd have knew he had COVID. Cause I'd have,
Well, search him out and send him one.
Yep.
well, Bill, send me his actual name.
Kyle Guthrie.
Kyle Guthrie. Yep. Just look on my friends list. You'll find him on there, or Dan's, or whoever. Joe's. He's on there, and he's got the skunk picture on it, so you'll know it's him right away.
Yep.
No, my my friend Laura, she got first time personal experience with one of my ex-bosses who would want to try the same thing 17, 18 times, and it didn't work, and couldn't tell her, and we were buying a lawnmower to take to Chicago, and went through to Menards to the order pickup, which is actually you're just driving past or through the gates to go around to the back yard behind the building, and you pull up. You don't even have to go in the store. You pull up to a parking spot. There's a sign that says call this phone number, and then you give them the order number, and then they bring it out to you, and we'll even load it up for you if you ask them to. And then they give you a little ticket to give to the gate guard to get back out of the yard afterwards. Well, my ex-department manager, when I worked at Menards, which she's no longer one there now, but she works at the order pickup, she answered the phone in her usual surly voice. And Laura says, I have a lawnmower that I bought and we're picking up. She said, well, give me the order number. And Laura said, okay, well, give me a second. I'll have to look it up. And so she's on her phone, trying to pull up the order number from her email. And my ex-boss says, well, do you have it yet? I don't have all day. I have other people I can wait on too. They're waiting on me and that. And Laura just went click, hung up on it. She goes, I'm not putting up with that, And I said, this is you just put up with a minuscule of the 8 years that I put up with, And it just bad attitude, bad everything. And she's had some personal issues in her life that I feel sorry for her about, and I prayed for her about it, but no reason to take it out on everybody else. And
this is true.
Yeah. So anyway, it's one of those deals that she probably should have retired a ways back, but
Laura should have said you need to use the proper pronouns.
Well, I'm just lucky that we were outside sitting in her car, and she wasn't talking to her face to face, because I'm sure Laura might have said something back to her. And she has a lot of patience. She has taught me a lot of patience, and that. But I knew that my ex-manager struck a chord with her that was not a very good one. So, but anyway, having said that, my eyes are closing and everything else, and I need to do a few things before I hit that bed right over there that keeps staring at me and that. But I will say my good nights to you, Dan, and Josh, and anybody else out there that's still watching and that, and thoroughly enjoyed both shows tonight. Being able to get back out here after a week and a half, and I did watch some on the reruns and all that.
By the way, Dan, he fell asleep while he.
I fell asleep on.
I have that effect on people.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the night that JD the Jersey Devil was in there. I think I watched about 45 minutes before I finally fell asleep, but it had not anything to do with anybody on the show, but had to do with my 14 plus hour days doing that estate sale. And I'm just so very glad it's the last one of the year. I really am. And you know, they're very educational and fun to do. And you know, needless to say, you get some fun toys from it, and you know, fun records and everything else. But it's a lot of work, and I'm not as young as I used to be anymore. And it was taking the toll on me and Laura both. And but the boss was good. She took us out for lunch every day, paid for it, and took us out for breakfast on the last day that we worked ahead of time. And then, of course, what she's going to pay us. Laura's getting a cut of the total sales, and I'm just getting a flat rate, but which is more than fine. But yeah, it was very exhausting, and I missed, you know, talking to you guys, but there would have been I was getting home about 20 minutes after the show would start on Saturday night, you know, and there was no way I would be able to get in there.
Oh, no, you were worn out. You were worn out, no doubt.
Yeah, but back now, and hopefully you'll eventually be a little bit more refreshed.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Bill and Josh. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to go ahead and wind it up and play the advert, and then play the end credits, and then I'm going to take my lazy ass to bed.
Yeah, vaya con Dios, everybody.
Y'all have a good night, and everybody out there that's going to be watching this in reruns, because ain't nobody watching this live. Good night.
Good night.
Welcome to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Here you will find a variety of shows which cover a wide array of interests, from comics to creativity, mysteries to mixology, and science to history. There's something for all interests at the Rising Tide. There are shows every day of the week, daytime and nighttime. So take a look at our schedule and see what appeals to you. If you're interested in comics, both independent and mainstream, check out Comics Chaos and Sass, or Comic Book Spectrum, or From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. If you want encouragement and advice on furthering your creativity, we have Creative as Hail and Tidbits and Scribbles. If you enjoy mysteries and conspiracy theories, we have The Truth Mongers. If you're into interviews with up-and-coming talents, there is a TED Talks made just for you, as well as Clever Title Pending. If you're into classic combat sports, there's the Historical Fencing Guild. And if you want to know what it's like to hang out with convention regulars, we have Stupid O'Clock and Last Man Standing. If you want witty repartee and fast-paced fun, check out Nevermind the Furthermore. If the science of rocketry and spaceflight is your thing, we have Armchair Rocket Science. But that's by no means all the Rising Tide has to offer. New shows will be added as they develop, so stay tuned. All Rising Tide shows share a spirit of mutual cooperation, under the philosophy that a rising tide raises all ships. Lightly ruled over by our comic ringmaster of mayhem, Brian K. Morris, we support and promote each other's works. What helps one of us to greater success helps all of us achieve even more successes. So look at the schedule, check out the shows, and we're sure that you will want to come back for more.